And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us once again across the Louisiana plain, where we are elevating the cause of constitutional conservatism in Louisiana, elevating the cause of constitutional conservative citizens across the state, and rapidly now draining the Louisiana swamp. My name is Chris.
And I'm Danielle, and this is the State of Freedom, brought to you by freedom-loving Louisiana First Patriots. Hello, State of Freedom warriors. Thank you for inviting us to be part of your day. We are so grateful for you. You're the best listening family anyone could possibly hope for, and we are only here because of your encouragement, your prayers, and your financial support. If you are looking for a way to support us, to advertise with us, or to send us feedback, please visit our website at freedomstate.us. We'd really appreciate it if you'd also help us get the word out and spread the reach of the State of Freedom. Please like the show on whatever platform you listen to us, subscribe to it, and share it. You can share short clips instead of the full episodes from our YouTube and Rumble channels, and links to those are always in the show notes and over on freedomstate.us. Moms for Liberty East Baton Rouge Parish Chapter is dedicated to fighting for the survival of America by unifying, educating, and empowering parents to defend and take back their parental rights at all levels of government. To learn more or to get involved with Moms for Liberty East Baton Rouge, email momsforlibertybatonrouge@gmail.com. That's moms, the number 4, libertybatonrouge@gmail.com. The email address is on the Patriot page of our website, freedomstate.us, and it's in the show notes. Today, we'll be talking with someone who has found himself in the national spotlight because he is fighting for sanity, for morality, and the protection of women and girls in Louisiana schools against the Biden administration's toxic and insane overreach. We're so thrilled that Dr. Cade Brumley will be joining us today. Before we bring on Dr. Brumley, let me read the scripture of the day. And it says, "Senseless people find no pleasure in acquiring true wisdom, for all they want to do is impress you with what they know." And I believe the Lord led me to this verse this morning because it seems like a perfect description of the state of higher education and those who view themselves as elites ruling over us, we the little people. Truth and godly wisdom hold no value to these senseless people, but they want to write books, they want to be on TV, and they want to create rules for us to follow, even though they make absolutely no sense whatsoever. It sounds like King Solomon must have experienced the frustration of dealing with senseless elites in his day too.
You know, all of this, Danielle, flies so completely in the face of common sense and just basic human instincts. Everybody knows in their heart of hearts that this is just pure lunacy, what the U.S. Department of Education just promulgated. And that you're right, they don't care about wisdom. I don't even know if they want to impress people with how much they know. I just simply think they want to exert as much control and power over us as they can and over the state superintendents and the state education systems because they have an agenda, which quite frankly, I think is a Marxist agenda. I'm so thankful that we have the superintendent at the helm that we have, Dr. Cade Brumley, who's here with us today. Cade, thank you so much for joining us for a few minutes today. We're all on a tight schedule, but you are in the forefront of the news right now, and as far as we're concerned, for all of the good reasons. How are you, sir?
Thank you so much, Chris, for that. We are certainly in unusual times, so to speak, with the Biden administration having released their new rules, as you have alluded to.
Yeah. It looks like under the new Title IX rules, just for the benefit of our listeners, Title IX is the federal statute that governs, gender discrimination and how to treat both men and women fairly in any federally funded education institution in the country. According to what we're reading, Dr. Brumley, this new rule promulgated by the U.S. Department of Education would require men to be able to participate in women's competitive sports, would require that men who simply say that they are female be afforded protections. It's unbelievable. I would call this lunacy, Dr. Brumley, but I'm not in the habit of insulting lunatics. What in the world is going on at the Department of Education?
Yeah, look, we have been working in staunch opposition of these new rules for about 2 years now. And we knew that at some point there was a chance that the Biden administration, through the U.S. Department of Education, might drop these new rules. And what happened most recently within the last week is that they have published these as final rule, and they say that they will go in effect in August. And really, the most significant change of all is the shift in what we have long understood to be the protection in Title IX. And they have added gender identity as one of the areas for which discrimination can exist. Not simply biological sex, but gender identity. And, we have seen this across the country. I am really concerned about the new rules for three reasons. Primarily, one, I think that this is going to create violations against First Amendment rights of individuals in schools. I think number two, it seeks to dismantle longstanding protections for women in sports. And three, something that people really aren't talking much about so far, and I think it deserves some conversation. School systems and schools, I'm afraid, are going to have to create additional bureaucracies in an attempt to police violations and reports of discrimination based on gender identity. And so those are really three primary areas of concern right here that I believe are worthy of noting. And I feel like in the state of Louisiana, we have to stand up and we have to take a stand and realize this is a bridge too far and challenge these rules.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, and you have done just that very, very decisively and very quickly. It is, and I would imagine that there are other education superintendents across the country who have responded in a similar way. Dr. Brumley, is there any doubt in your mind at this point, maybe there is, that if we hold fast on this and refuse to implement these crazy new protocols that everybody knows are just absurd, is a judge going to end up having to decide these issues? Or do you think the U.S. Department of Education will leave us alone based upon your response?
Yeah. So just to set some context here, immediately what I did within our office is I notified school systems across the state of Louisiana to simply push pause. Most school systems within the next month or so will be dismissing for summer break. And I just said, look, give my office, give the attorney general, give the governor of the state of Louisiana the opportunity for us to work together to review these 1,500 plus pages of rules and then get back to you with further instructions. So do not change any of your practices. Do not go and adjust any of your policies at this present time. And so far, I've heard that school systems are intending to follow the advice and the counsel that we have given them here, which I think is good and positive. But what certainly will be coming is a challenge to the rule. We are working hand in hand with our Attorney General, Liz Murrill. We have the governor's office, Governor Jeff Landry. We have his office involved as well. And we are exploring every option available to us to challenge this particular rule. Not only do I think is it a challenge to our state sovereignty in the state of Louisiana, not only does it break down longstanding protections across the country, but if we look specifically to Louisiana, we have the Fairness in Women's Sports Act that was passed by our legislature that is Louisiana law that says sports in the state of Louisiana are to be separated on the basis of biological sex unless they're co-ed in nature. Right now in our legislature, we have legislation moving in the system favorably so far called the Given Name Act, which instructs classroom teachers to simply refer to students in their classroom by the name on their birth certificate, unless the parent suggests that they refer to the child by a different name. It's a transparency bill. And so these particular changes to Title IX would be in contradiction to this Louisiana Fairness in Sports Act and also certainly the Given Name Act. So it is being set up, Chris and Danielle, for a legal challenge. And from all accounts, I think our Attorney General intends to lead on that front.
That's wonderful to hear. Chris and I were looking before we met with you this morning on the Department of Ed's fact sheet that they put out. And this is a direct quote from the fact sheet. It says, in spite of this historic progress, referring to the Title IX progress that's been made, rates of sexual harassment and assault in our nation's schools and colleges remain unacceptably high. And that just struck me so square between the eyes, because all I could think was, how sick or stupid do you have to be to think that putting boys and men in locker rooms and restrooms with women and girls is going to help with that? So I just appreciate you so much for standing up for sanity on this. I just can't understand. I mean, it's basically demonic. I don't know that we can actually understand where these people are coming from, other than they wanted to divide and destroy the nuclear family, and they want people to be in such state of confusion that they can't realize that what the government is actually doing to them.
Danielle, I think that we are an inclusive community, and certainly we want to care for every single student under our care, and we recognize that all students are different and deserve to be included. But what this does is this unnecessarily endangers children, and it's reckless policy. And so I think it's important that we do draw the line here, because as Chris mentioned at the beginning, this just flies in the face of common sense.
It does.
Is this, Dr. Brumley, a correct interpretation of this new rule? I'm just going to give you a hypothetical, just so our listeners and citizens across the state can understand what we're talking about here. You can either affirm or clarify this. So if I'm a high school sophomore and I'm a male and I'm 6'2" and 230, 240, whatever it is, but I identify in my mind and I articulate to my teachers and administrators that I am a female. So I identify as a female. Under this rule, will I be required to be allowed to go into the girls' bathroom?
Yes, I mean that is our appreciation of the rule. And again, Chris, it's over 1,500 pages long, and so we still have work to do to really review all of all of that. But on face value, I think what you describe is accurate, and that is what the new rules do. And if a school should fail to allow that, or personnel within the school fail to allow that, they would be subject to discrimination lawsuits. And the school also would be subject, in the system and the state as a whole, potentially to lose their federal dollars. That being dollars for school lunches for our most vulnerable children and their breakfast. It could be the additional dollars that we have for students with disabilities or students with exceptionalities that need additional dollars to help provide for their education and care. It could be dollars that come into some of our most impoverished communities to provide additional educational support there. And whenever people talk about federal dollars coming into the system, I think it's important to remember federal dollars do not belong to the government. Those are our tax dollars coming back into our system. And so they would essentially be withholding money that Louisiana taxpayers have paid, because Louisiana, or a school or a educator in Louisiana, might, in their words, discriminate against a student for not allowing maybe a biological male to enter into the biological female's restroom.
Yeah. And of course, Dr. Brumley, this is not federal law. This is not federal statutory law. You made a very compelling case in your written response that this rule actually falls outside of both the letter of the statutory framework of Title IX and the legislative history of Title IX. So, what is the distinction between what kind of weight, I guess, other than, okay, we're going to withhold federal money, which is a significant stick, but what kind of legal authority are they resting on for this?
Well, Chris, I think we'll soon know, because you're going to have challenges across the country, particularly in states that are like minded, where they're going to challenge the federal government. They're going to challenge the U.S. Department of Agriculture. because they oversee the food service programs. They're going to challenge the United States Department of Education because of the work with the title programs. And so we're going to see very soon challenges in jurisdictions across the country. And so we will soon know where they believe that they are drawing their power and their authority.
We will. And Dr. Brumley, you have been working really hard with Bessie and the legislature on issues related to this, as you mentioned, the Given Name Act and other issues like that, to get the divisive and inappropriately sexualized material out of the schools. What advice do you have for Louisiana parents who may still see this coming home with their kids, or who fear that their schools may be implementing these new rules from the Biden administration?
Yeah, look, I mean, I have only positive things to say about our State Board of Education right now. I think we have a strong legislature. We have a strong administration in the state as a whole right now. So I'm thankful for that. Look, we have some outstanding traditional public schools. We have some outstanding public charter schools, some outstanding non-publics. There's a lot of conversation right now about educational savings accounts, which would allow funding to follow the child. So choice is really important. And I think that we need to make sure that families have choices, make sure that barriers are knocked down so that every family has choices and options to educate their child, which could even be protecting the independence of our homeschool community. But what I would encourage parents to do is to make sure that whenever they're working with policy leaders, that they are emphasizing their desire for choice and for them to be the ones in the driver's seat making decisions on their child's education. If they are in a traditional school, public, charter, non-public, stay really connected with the teachers, the leaders, the board, the governing boards, and ask questions about resources and content. Ask questions about reading levels and math levels, and just stay engaged as much as one possibly can.
Yeah.
I'm excited to share a fantastic opportunity for State of Freedom listeners who are interested in investing in precious metals or even starting a home-based business in the precious metals industry. Metal Stacks is a precious metals collectors club where you can buy your metals at the best prices on the market, actual dealer cost. They are beating the big sites. They have no credit card fees and no minimums. If you're just interested in purchasing metals at a great price, visit metalstacks.com/dwalker. Get to shopping, that helps me out. I get the commission. You can also refer people to Metal Stacks for an additional income. If you're interested in learning about the referral business aspect of Metal Stacks, email me directly at danielle@freedomstate.us for more information.
Cade, I like to stay positive. I heard you say a few minutes ago that you have every reason to believe that most of the school districts, if not all, are going to follow your directive. Very, very happy to hear that. In the event that a school district chooses to attempt or begin to implement this new rule from the U.S. Department of Education or these policies, have you anticipated what, if any, action you would take against that district?
Yeah, so right now, for instance, if something were to be implemented, I would say it's premature, period, because even the U.S. Department of Education, with the rule, clarifies that this does not go into effect until August. So we have a period of time before they even claim that this goes into effect. And so I think that any attempt to implement this right now would be premature. We would work with the appropriate other agencies, coordinate, and again explore options of what might need to be happening. But what I would say again, Chris, is at this point I have not received any pushback from any local system in any jurisdiction across the state of Louisiana relative to this. I feel like they are going to follow suit on this and make sure that they comply until they hear otherwise from myself, the AG, and or the governor.
That's really, really good to hear. That's very, very good to hear. You know what? I think that this could end up shaping up as a battle of sovereignty, and whether, as we believe, our state has full constitutional authority to both implement our own laws and govern our own school system, and to reject this kind of federal overreach. And quite frankly, Dr. Brumley, I think it's a battle that is long in coming. And I think it is time for us to have our own sovereignty vindicated in federal court. Hopefully that will come. Another great thing about the fact that this is not supposed to go into effect until August is that hopefully we will have some additional legislation on the books by that point. You talked about the given name bill that we have. Also, there's another bill that's making its way through the legislature that would prohibit public school administrators and teachers from getting into these or initiating these topics like gender identity and transgenderism and all this stuff, which they really shouldn't be doing in school. So hopefully by that point, we will have more good, solid laws set up, and we will. This is a hill, Dr. Brumley, I know you're willing to fight on and fight hard on, and I know that citizens across this state are willing to fight right alongside you.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I mean, look, this is a line in the sand. It's a bridge too far. Use whatever terminology might best fit. But whenever I speak on this particular issue, I understand that some individuals in our state do not agree. But I really truly believe in the heart of hearts of people across the state of Louisiana. The overwhelming majority agree with me that this is just too much, and it is violation of their First Amendment rights. It is an erasure of protections for women in athletic events. And I certainly don't think anyone wants to create additional bureaucracies in the education system, and that's coming from a bureaucrat. So just
Yeah.
understand, like, I feel comfort in knowing that so many good people across the state of Louisiana are like-minded on this issue, and we're going to do everything we can to fight back.
Amen.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. And how can people follow your ongoing communications on this and any developments related to this issue, Dr. Brumley?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think that just stay connected with the communication channels from the Department of Ed, stay in communication with the channels from the Attorney General's office, the governor's office. And I do know that more information will be coming out in the public soon about particular paths that we intend to take. And I have no doubt that will be readily available to the public. But, stay engaged, stay involved, pray for sanity, and hopefully good will prevail here, and we'll be able to protect children and make sure that equal opportunity is available for females across the state as well.
And speaking of praying, Dr. Brumley, I just want to clarify for our listeners that despite what we saw not too long ago in a public school local handbook, the earth is not the God to whom we will be praying.
Goodness gracious.
Thank you for joining us, Dr. Brumley. God bless you, sir. Danielle and I were talking before the show today just about how blessed and fortunate we are to have you. There's no doubt that you were called for a time such as this, and we sleep better at night knowing that you are there. And as I said, we're going to be supporting you 100%, and we're going to prevail.
Thank you, Chris. And look, we have great people throughout the state that will help and support and work through issues. And I just give so many people credit here. But I am thankful for the role that you all play in telling the story as well. So thanks much.
God bless you, Dr. Brumley.
You guys have a great day.
You too.
You too. Thanks for listening to The State of Freedom. To stay on top of all the calls to action we mentioned today, just check out the show notes for the episode. If you'd like to support the show financially, visit our website at freedomstate.us. If you'd prefer to give by mail, you can send a check to the State of Freedom, LLC at P.O. Box 861, Berg, Louisiana 70343. If you own a business in Louisiana and are interested in supporting our show by advertising, please email us at info@freedomstate.us. To get involved with Louisiana Citizen Advocacy Group, visit lacag.org, LACAG.org, or email Chris at chris@lacag.org. If you're enjoying the podcast, please subscribe and share it. Give us a 5-star rating in the reviews. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next time.